Hey everyone, so today we're exploring the intersection of real estate investing and technology with a special guest from TurboTenant, Harrison Stevens. Harrison, appreciate you coming on today. TurboTenant has become a go-to platform for landlords and investors looking to streamline their rental management. Harrison, it's great to have you here.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me.
So for starters here, Harrison, so TurboTenant has gained a lot of popularity among landlords and real estate investors. Um, could you start by telling us like what sets TurboTenant apart from other property management platforms, and then maybe on top of that, like what kind of landlord does TurboTenant cater to?
Yeah, I mean, I think the answer to both those questions is the same, which is, we're trying to cater towards landlords that own 1 to 10 properties. We can go up to 50 or 100 if needed, but the needs of somebody that is trying to do it themselves as a landlord and invest in properties and manage it themselves and keep as much of the profit as they can is a much different product than the enterprise level landlord software that you need to have 300 properties for. So a lot of our software is built around getting you set up for success for your first property, and then adding one more and then another one. Or if you do have 5 properties, making it easy to add them and then manage them without the need of account managers or phone support to set things up. It should just work. And we always think of it that way of, if you can set up a property and be successful without needing any documentation or education for how to use the software itself, then we're doing right by our customers.
That's great. So you mentioned kind of simplifying the day for landlords. So um, managing real estate investment properties, it can be pretty complex. So, especially with how many options there are nowadays, what would you say are some of the most popular tools on TurboTenant that kind of helps those landlords simplify their day-to-day operations?
Sure. I mean, my favorite tool, and should be every landlord's, is collecting rent. We make it really easy to collect rent, and there's a lot of ways to collect rent out there, but with most people these days, they expect to be able to pay online, and they expect to make it easy for everyone to transact those payments. So for us, you can pay rent as a tenant by credit card or debit card or through bank account transfer. And then for landlords, bank account transfer back to your bank account. And we automate that. So you can do auto pay if you're a tenant, and you can be sure that your payments will come to the landlord every month on the day that it's supposed to be. And if you're a landlord, you can also set up automatic late fees, which is just a really awkward conversation. If you own a few properties, you probably know your tenants by name. There's some sort of personal relationship with them, and you feel for them. Like, I understand you're a day or two late, like things happen. But if you have software that's kind of taking that personalization away in a good way to help you run a successful business, then it makes you more successful. It sets better expectations for your tenants, and the relationship between the two of you just continues to get better because there's such clear expectations. So that's probably one of the best ones. Now, what are we really good at besides that is finding you a tenant, because without a tenant you can't get rent and your business is going to suffer. So we when you list the property on TurboTenant, we automatically provide you with insights on how to create a great listing. Now, I'm head of marketing, but every property that you list, you are marketing it in some capacity. And what we've learned with 700,000 landlords, we're going to guide you through your property. And there's different things that you can say and ways to say it that will garner more attention, but also protect you from saying the wrong things. You don't want to discriminate against people, etc. There's a certain amount of pictures that lead to a higher chance of success. If you allow pets, you're actually adding a much larger pool of people that could rent your property. Once you have the property ready, we'll actually syndicate it out or list it on dozens of other major sites, some of the biggest in the industry: apartments.com, homes.com, Redfin. Craigslist integration is now one of our biggest places for finding leads for our landlords. And all of those leads come back to TurboTenant so you can manage it all in one place. If you aren't using us, you're going to go list it on apartments.com. You're going to go list it on Redfin. You're going to go list it on all these different places, and then you're going to check every single one of them for leads. All of it comes into one place here so that you can manage it effectively. And once you get the right lead and the right potential tenant, then we help you automatically screen them and go through the application process, and then even write a lease for you for your state or specific city, so that you're compliant, you're protected, and also just the expectations with your tenant are set from the get-go. If you're, kind of cutting corners early, then more corners could be cut throughout the entire process. The expectation of you're running a really well buttoned up business leads to better experiences for the tenant and for you throughout the entire time that you're working together.
Man, Harrison, you really just highlighted on two of the biggest parts of being a landlord, which is collecting rent and attracting high quality tenants. So,
If,
uh,
if you don't have this, if you don't have those two, being a landlord is pretty hard. You're just paying for nothing. So I highly recommend collecting rent, and I highly recommend finding a tenant. I like to think we're really good at both.
totally, totally. Hey, well, so whether someone is a new investor or if they're managing multiple properties, having the right tech stack is obviously so important, and partners is key. How does TurboTenant integrate with partners like Steadily, or others in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about a lot of things that we do well, and we have a team that is really engaged in new laws for leases, etc. And then there are times where it's just better to partner with someone that already is the expert, and that's why we chose Steadily, and we have quite a few other partners that just fill gaps that software that we create isn't the best choice, and that's the best choice for landlords. Then, if we're partnering with really great businesses that are experts, then they get the best of everything, in my opinion. So, integration with Steadily, we collect all the information. We actually negotiated and created a plan that's more tailored towards our types of landlords, the smaller landlords. I think everyone at Steadily would agree. You don't want to be overinsured, and I think that's what we focused on. What do we think the average landlord on our platform needs, and that's the plan that you kind of start with when you work with the two of these companies together. So we pass a lot of the information on, we make it easy, and we also let you know right at the right time. All right, now you have a property, now you have a tenant, now you found a tenant, you've gotten them a lease, you're ready to move them in. Now's the time to start protecting everything. It's hard to pitch insurance when you don't have a tenant. It's hard to pitch a lot of other things. So timing is really important in these things. So we built the right timing to make an effective pitch when you're ready to make the decision.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. That this process is so timing oriented, as far as how things have to coincide. Like one thing has to be completed before one thing can start. So you kind of hit the nail on the head. It sounds like you guys do a good job of helping landlords, kind of get from like point A to point B just like a little bit more clear, which is huge. So, Harrison, looking ahead, what innovations or updates can we expect to see from TurboTenant? And then a little multi-leveled here, more from a macro standpoint, where do you see the property management industry or space evolving? And also, what role do you see TurboTenant playing in it?
Yeah, so I think, as technology continues to invest in this space, everyone is talking about AI, and I think there's a lot of things that we've already done with AI. I already mentioned kind of the ways that we help you with your listing, but you know, one of the biggest pain points in property management, besides just finding a tenant and making sure they pay on time, is maintenance. And I've been a landlord for over a decade now, and maintenance requests never come at a convenient time. It's always late at night or in the middle of a meeting, and it's just not the right time. And half the time, for me, you know, those those conversations were just, did you try these three things? And then I get a text an hour later saying, yeah, it's fixed now. So what we're looking into is, one, every time someone pays rent on the platform today, we ask, how are things going? If and that feedback loop is unusual in the tenant landlord relationship of every time you pay rent, you get to hear how things are. But if things aren't going well, or there's a problem that might be small today, it's a lot easier to say it on a platform than to call up a landlord and make a whole big deal out of it. But finding a problem early is really important because it's just a small problem to fix versus a disaster. A leaking toilet is a big deal. A leaking bathroom that's leaking into another floor is a major problem. So we're trying to invest some more in maintenance. And one of the things that, we also have a partner for that called Lula, and they can help facilitate, the repairs and things like that. But why don't we have those conversations run through AI where, if someone says, hey, I have a leaking toilet, our AI asks some more information, then suggests some things for them to try. The tenant's getting instant feedback and they can do something about it right now. They're probably calling because it's happening right in front of them. And that tenant experience is now a little better because their problem is heard in some capacity. We might be able to help you solve that problem through just providing some steps to check things out. If we can't, we've now collected a ton of information through that process. So when the landlord goes to hire, in this example, a plumber, they have all of these questions already answered for the plumber. And the plumber can come in with a whole, book of what's going on. There's less surprises when they walk in the door. And that gives a higher probability the right person was sent and the problem can be solved in the first try. Because another terrible thing is when you send someone, they can't fix it. Now you got to find another person. It just delays the whole process. And all of our landlords that we talk to, landlords, they're just trying to create a great experience because they believe that, a great experience leads to a tenant being happy, which ends up causing the tenant to renew, and the business just keeps thriving from that perspective. So they're interested in solving these problems. Let's just make it easier for them. And I think AI could be a really great way to make this a more streamlined process. So our software actually automates a lot of the bookkeeping for you. Any transactions that come into your bank account that have to do with your rental property, it can help automatically tag them and then guide you through how to create efficient books. And a lot of people look at bookkeeping of, all right, it's December, start to clean up my stuff. But if you're able to do it consistently throughout the year, your bookkeeping experience is much easier. And when you hand those books over to your accountant, it's going to cost a lot less because they're spending so much more time just giving you advice and compiling the books rather than trying to clean up everything. The cost for you on the accounting side will be less. So by automatically tagging things, it just makes it so much easier for you. And then we also guide you along the way of, hey, we think this is what this expense is. Is this correct? And, that education kind of happens naturally as we help automate your books throughout the year.
So from what I'm hearing, I would say to not suggest waiting to file until April 15th.
Yeah, I mean, I'd recommend consistency. I mean, you want to have your books done as early as possible in January, and then you hand them over to your accountant to then file your taxes. The longer you wait, the harder it gets. And again, just having everything connected, if all of your rent is paid through our platform, and all of your transactions happen through the same bank account, it gets actually a lot easier to categorize and automate the process. Our software is great for midterm rentals, like 3 months or more, I would say, and going up to a year or 18 months. REI Hub, which is the accounting company we bought, they can actually digest and parse Airbnb PDFs and VRBO and create books for that. And it would be better for you to go to reihub.net and buy directly through them. That way you don't have to get all the software for managing midterm and long-term rentals with us. We'll be building a TurboTenant accounting, which is REI Hub, where you can sign up on TurboTenant. It's possible, but it's a little messy. Like you sign up for a rental property management, and then you can just buy the REI Hub software through us, or just go to reihub.net directly. There's a trial. I use Mac Mail and I set up rules. So anybody from Steadily that emails me, it goes into a Steadily folder. That's how it works on REI Hub of Home Depot. Probably a repair expense. Rent payment from this place, probably rent. Mortgage payment out, probably mortgage. And it tracks all your incoming and outgoing expenses. and then guides you a little bit along the way. And if you can upload PDFs from those short-term rental sites, then it should be able to parse them and save a ton of work for you.
I love hearing that because that sounds great from an insurance partner's perspective to hear that basically what you're doing is helping mitigate a lot of risk for those landlords. When you're coming through, and oftentimes enough, like a small maintenance request, if it's not taken care of, turns into a major claim on an insurance policy. I'm absolutely loving what you're saying right now. So I don't know if you save that just for our little spiel here, but thank you.
Yeah.
Love to hear that. So, thank you so much, Harrison, for joining us today. It's exciting to see how TurboTenant is helping landlords and real estate investors take control of their property management. For our listeners who are looking to streamline their rental process, be sure to check out TurboTenant and all the great features that they offer. And don't forget to subscribe to InvestSmart with Steadily for more tips on growing and protecting your real estate investment. Thanks for coming on, Harrison. Appreciate it.